And we also have Deanne from Mason City, Illinois. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for letting us know where you are zooming in from. And thank you, Jason, for putting that warm welcome in the webinar chat. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off. I know you guys are tired of hearing me yapping. You're here for the information, and I'm here to get you that information. Here's how you can engage. If you're on Facebook, just sit back, relax, and watch us and listen. I'm going to put some links in the chat. But if you're on Zoom, we are recording this. We're going to send you the recording and the slides later today or early in the morning. If you need closed captions, just click on the CC button and turn on the closed caption so you can hear it in your language, wherever you're from. I'm going to get ready to turn this over. Zach, you kicking us off today? You're on camera, or is it
Right over to
Julie?
Julian, yeah.
Okay, all right, over to Julie. You guys have a great webinar. I love this team. They're awesome. So sit back and relax, guys. Over to you.
Thanks, Aretha. Yep, so my name's Julian. I'm with a company called Tap Network. I'm the Junior Director of Digital Solutions. I work a lot with basically problem solving, troubleshooting, building new apps, and connecting things for folks here. And I'm joined by my colleagues, Zach and Jason. Hey, guys.
Yeah, hey everybody. My name's Zach, marketing technology specialist at Tap Network. Work a lot with Julian with anything, whether it comes to CRM implementations, new website projects, across the board. We're in there one way or another. And then we also have Jason here.
Yep. Jason's going to be popping in a little bit towards the end, but he's also going to be in the chat. So, you're going to see him in there. If you have any questions, like I said, put them in the Q&A and we'll get to them. We're going to have a pretty extended question session right towards the end. So, we'll make sure to get to everybody's things. But for quick things in the chats, he'll be in there responding to some folks, getting you links and getting you where you need to go. So today we're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about TAP just for a little bit. Then we're going to get into why data is important. And then analytics of all kinds, whether we're looking at website stuff, marketing things like say on social media or email, some SEO, AEO, and GEO stuff, how to put this all into a strategy. Then again, talk about some of the stuff that we're offering on TechSoup and make sure that we're getting to all your questions. So Tap Network is a full service digital marketing agency. We've partnered with TechSoup both as, working with them directly, as well as working with, I know even some of the people that are in the webinar today, helping out nonprofits of all sizes. We're doing, marketing, thought leadership, and really trying to share this expertise we have with everybody that we're coming into contact through TechSoup with. So, I'm glad you're here, and I'm really hoping that we'll be able to get you some good insights and help you out a good amount. This is a quick, overview of all the things that we're good at. You can take a look at this and read through it. But if it's, branding and logo stuff, web development, CRM stuff, website work, strategy, we have the expertise here to help you out. So, to kick us off, the importance of data. Why is data important? And I want to start with a poll question. So, put the letter in the chat for whichever one's going to match for you here. But how would you describe how your organization currently, works with collecting and using data? Are you not doing much right now? You have a little bit of stuff, like maybe you're looking at your email tool. You have analytics in a lot of platforms, but you have no place where you can look at everything together. You have this stuff, but you have no idea what you're looking at. Or maybe, hey, we have all this stuff. We have a really good strategy right now. Or you can even tell us a little bit of all of the above. We're seeing a lot of A's, some B's and C's, no E's yet. So I guess that means that we're going to have some helpful things for you folks and really get you started. So it looks like a lot of people at least are aware of some of the analytics things that they have going on in their platforms. Great.
Awesome. Thanks, Julian. So yeah, I want to kick it off by starting and talking about choosing the right tools for success. So when we're preparing for the new year or any time for that matter, one of the biggest factors in your success is choosing the right tools. The right technology is going to end up making your job easier. You're going to have faster reporting, clearer insights, less manual work. And the wrong tools can actually slow you down or create extra steps that will drain your time and your energy. A common issue that we see with a lot of nonprofits is tool overload. So you might have one system for email, another system for your website, another for analytics. You have spreadsheets all over the place. And none of these systems are talking to each other. So when everything is disconnected, you're going to end up losing data through some of the connections. You're going to lose time, and then ultimately you're going to lose those opportunities that that data would have brought you. And as you're evaluating tools, you want to be strategic, right? So you want to ask yourself, is this tool going to solve a real problem that we're facing? Is it supporting our mission? Is it can it integrate with the tools that we're already using? If the answer isn't yes to those questions, it might not be the right tool. And then obviously, before you commit to any of these tools, you want to test them. So lots of the tools out there have free trials, they have demos, lots of them even have nonprofit discounts. So definitely be sure to leverage those and use the tools that are actually going to work for your work. A little testing up front is going to save a lot of time down the road. And then obviously one of the most important things to remember is that you're not doing this alone. So there's thousands of nonprofits out there that are navigating the exact same questions. They have the questions about the different what tools to use, what analytics to track, what technology to use. Lots of nonprofits have figured this out. Lots of them haven't yet. So really, instead of reinventing the wheel and trying to figure it out yourself, learn from others' experiences. So there's Facebook groups out there, Slack channels, different forums, webinars like these. These are all spaces where all these people who are attending these things and these forums, these groups, everybody's open to sharing what tools they're using, what tools they love, what they don't like, and ultimately what they wish they knew sooner, so that they can share that with you, right? So connecting with organizations like your own, similar size, mission, same capacity in a way, these will give you like real practical feedback that you're not just going to get from a sales demo from a biased salesperson trying to sell you one product. It's really good to just learn from others. It'll help you save time, save money, and avoid all that unnecessary friction of testing one tool versus another, or everything in that spectrum, right? So getting a little bit into analytics, here's a variety of different numbers upfront that you can track, and these are at any budget, right? So whether you're at a very low budget, you need free tools, or you've got enterprise level tools at your hand, these are a variety of different things that you can track. So first one is website traffic. This is essentially the number of visitors and their behavior on your site. So one thing to look at is bounce rates. So if you have high bounce rates, this can indicate that your website pages may need a little bit of tooling and work, right? For email performance, and we're going to get into these in a lot more detail as well. So this is just like an introduction to these pieces here. But for email performance, some things that you can track are like how many recipients are opening your emails, the engagement rates, what links are getting clicked on. For donation conversion rates, you can look at the percentage of visitors that are completing a donation, the percentage of email recipients who complete a donation. That's another one as well. So for social media engagement, obviously these are the big ones are all likes, comments, shares, and your follower count. A lot more engagement tends to come when you're diversifying that content, when you're putting content in front of your viewers that really resonates. If you're kind of just posting the same thing over and over and it's not showing growth, might be time to change something up a little bit, right? And then the last one we have here is event attendance. So obviously you can monitor the number of attendees for your events, whether they be online or offline. And you can use that data to improve your promotion, increase participation. If you promoted an event a ton and you didn't see a bunch of attendance, you might need to re-strategize and look at your promotion strategy a little bit better, maybe tweak some things. So yeah, lots of different things here. We're going to get into some website analytics now. So Julian, take it away.
Yeah. So what does it really mean when we're talking about analytics? And so this can involve, quite a lot of things. And hopefully, by the time we get through some of these slides, you'll have a pretty good idea. So broadly, analytics includes quite a lot of things. It could be like, hey, who's actually in your audience? Who are the people that you're reaching on your website, on social media, maybe through some paid ads? What are they doing on those platforms? How are they navigating and engaging with all the stuff in there? Where are they coming from? How's your content itself performing? When you put up maybe a new program page, is it actually generating new registrations for stuff. Same thing for conversions. Beyond just that, hey, are people reaching out for more information? Are they making donations? Are they attending your events? Attribution's a big one. Hey, we have this donation. What sort of piece led to this donation? What did we do that prompted somebody to finally say, yes, I want to donate 50, 100, $200 to this nonprofit? There's also a lot of things you can look at with technical health. How fast your website is. Is everything nice and responsive on mobile? Is it accessible with alt text and other things for people who use screen readers? And then finally, things just, more user experience stuff. Are people, leaving without doing anything? Are they scrolling through your stuff? What are they interacting with? So very broadly, analytics are metrics that are associated with your digital marketing efforts. You can make quite a lot of things, I guess, analyze them through these analytics. These are some of the stuff that, most folks are going to be working with, especially in the nonprofit space. So, Zach, why would we bother tracking these?
So tracking your website analytics is one of the most valuable things that you can do. One of the most valuable things that you can leverage with your website. Analytics are going to give you that real visibility into what's really happening on your website. You're not guessing. You're not making assumptions on things. This is like real data that's coming in to your website. With good analytics, you can uncover how people are really using your site. What pages are they visiting? What are they clicking on? Why are they leaving the site? This is going to help you understand what's working and what might be wasting time or wasting your budget. For nonprofits, this is especially important because every dollar and every minute counts. Analytics are going to help you improve your efficiency across your marketing, across your website efforts, even your social media. And instead of trying 5 or 6 different ideas and hoping that one works, you can really make those decisions based on what the data is telling you. It'll also help you optimize faster. So when you know what's resonating with your supporters, what's confusing them, what's keeping people on your site, what's driving them away, you can adjust right away, right? So all this is going to help future-proof your marketing, future-proof your website, especially as all of these digital trends are changing. There's new things coming up all the time. We all know AI is the big buzz right now. There's always going to be something new and you want to stick ahead of that, right? So with the right tracking in place and the right analytics that you're taking in, you're always going to have that information that you need to adapt to the future. And then one of the biggest things to understand about analytics is they tell you what happened. They're not telling you why it happened. And a lot of this is where organizations we see tend to get tripped up. It's easy to look at the numbers and start making assumptions. Oh, we had a lot of visits on this page. That means it's a good page. Doesn't necessarily mean that, right? So you don't really want to make those assumptions. They can lead to the wrong conclusions and ultimately the wrong decisions, right? So you really do need to remember that a data point is just a data point. Numbers are going to describe an event, but they're not going to tell you the story behind it. If you see a spike or a drop, that's simply the what. You need the context to understand the why. Another thing is page views aren't people. So when you see something like 500 page views, that only means that the page was loaded 500 times. It doesn't necessarily mean that 500 unique individuals visited that page. As an example, I'm sure we've all seen a link on an email one time and then navigated back down into our inbox to find that link again. If you click on that link 4, 5, 6, 10, 20 times, that's 20 page views from only one individual, right? So the people who host that website might see 20 page views, but they got to remember that could all be the same person, right? So just a little bit of context for situations like that. And then thirdly, correlation does not equal causation. So just because you see a 40% increase in a metric doesn't necessarily mean that the change that you made caused it. So maybe there was a news story, maybe there was a new trend, a social media mention, even a glitch. These can all affect your numbers all at once, right? So while analytics are incredibly valuable, they also require careful interpretation. So you want to use these numbers as clues, but you always also want to look for that context before jumping to your conclusions.
So as we talk about analytics in a little more depth, I want to use this landing page as a framing example. So, here we have just a program landing page, and hopefully, everybody's created one of these before, making sure it's a single page that works really well for all the information somebody needs. to sign up for something, learn all the things they need to know. It's optimized well for speed. The content is written to get those people who need the information and guidance through the actual content, as well as a search engine optimization performance as a very clear call to action throughout the page, and you have an opportunity, whatever that conversion is, happens right there on the page itself. It's not sending somebody somewhere else to go do something. So as we're looking at all these analytics things, we're always going to bring it back to this landing page example. And the first thing that we can use analytics to do is, start to improve web page performance. So some of the main metrics you're going to want to start collecting around web pages. The first is the traffic source. Where did this person come from? Was it something that you put on social media? Is it coming from an email newsletter? Is it coming from being listed on somebody else's website in the resources section? Where people are coming from, can be a very helpful piece of information, especially when you're trying to, allocate your own efforts with limited time and limited energy. The conversion rates. This could be something where, like, hey, we have this group of people, this many people who have come to the page. How many of them actually did the thing we wanted them to do? Signed up for a program, made a donation, signed up for the newsletter. On the other side of that, you have, hey, how many people loaded this page, said, oh, not for me, or maybe they experienced an issue, whatever, and clicked without doing anything. Closed the page without doing anything on it. Custom events are a big one. So, there are some things that you can, get automatically through something like Google Analytics, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Like, hey, when somebody, starts a form or submits a form or downloads a file, things like that. But maybe there's like, hey, I want to know how many people click this specific button on the page, or how many people are scrolling through our entire FAQ. How many questions did they open to look at the answers for? Custom events can be a big one. It's good to start with all the default events, but then as you want to get, further insights, especially if you're trying to make, a change and you're trying to say, hey, what on this page can we do better? Let's start to add these events in here so we can really get a deeper understanding of how people are using it and understand what we need to change to make it even more effective. And finally, the user flow analysis. Sometimes people are going to be on one page. Maybe if you have a really fantastic landing page, you're going to have a lot of people who are one-page users. But, there are maybe other people who are interested in learning a little more in depth about what you're all about. So how are they getting through the site? If they start at the homepage, where do they go from there? Or if you're saying, hey, how do people get to our donation page? You start to work backwards from there and see like, oh, well, I feel like I should be getting more people from XYZ page. Let's make a change here and see what we can uncover from that. So just some things to keep in mind. And Zach, we can go to the next one here. Use clear calls to action, benefit focused headlines. So making sure that the whole content of the web page is focused around that conversion action can be very important. And the more analytics that you have, you can really understand what to change to make that the best headline and sort of call to action for whatever your purpose is. You can start to get some of these metrics in here to reduce friction around forms. I know a lot of onboarding or registration forms for things can be quite long. So you're saying, okay, what can we hide with conditional logic so people are only seeing these fields if we actually need the information? Is there anything that we can autofill and set the form up to, allow somebody to just click something on their phone and it's going to populate all the data from that? Make sure that if you're seeing a lot of traffic, from a certain platform, that you're aligning the stuff that's on that landing page to match where people are coming from. If they're coming from a lot of video content, you don't want to send them to one big, large block of text. You want to make sure that it's, dynamic. It's going to match the audience that you're getting from that platform. And then finally, keep an eye on the metrics you can set around the actual content. So the words you use on a landing page are very important. And a small change in language can lead to a large change in the user experience. Make sure that your words are effective and actually guiding people along the things that you want them to do.
So now we're going to shift a bit and talk about one of the biggest players in the analytics space, which is Google Analytics. So whether you love it, you fear it, feel somewhere a little bit in between, I'm sure we all do, fear it a little bit. Google Analytics is one of the most widely used tools for understanding how people interact with your digital presence. And one of the great things about Google Analytics is the flexibility of the platform. So it's not just tied to one type of website platform. You can use it on any website, whether it's built on WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, Shopify, Drupal, all these different tools out there. Even a custom built site, if it lives on the web, there's a great chance that Google Analytics can track your website. So Google Analytics also goes a lot beyond just your website. So any of your external form tools like Jotform, Gravity Forms, any of your donation tools like GiveButter, GiveWP, DonorBox, these can all be connected, and they all quite often support Google Analytics tracking for things like even things like event signups, donation conversions. Again, I think that the main thing here is most, if not all of your tools, I'd say 99.9% of your tools can connect to Google Analytics, so that it can be that one hub for all of your data in one place, right? So, like I said, you can have your event information, you can have your forms, you have your donation, you have your website, which is the biggest thing, your social media, all connected to Google Analytics so that you can have those dashboards, all those reports, all that in one place.
So when we're talking about Google Analytics, it is important to just take a quick minute here and talk about what it does and doesn't track. So, Google Analytics, a very powerful tool, is going to get you things like when people are viewing pages, what they're clicking on, how far they're scrolling, how they navigate out throughout the website, information about, how long they're staying on the website, where they're coming from. We talked about that a little bit, those custom events, and different types of technology that people are using, like the phone models and the browser versions and stuff like that, the operating system of the computer that's being used. But it doesn't give you everything. It's not magic. So, the big thing that you're not going to get out of Google Analytics is personally identifiable information. You might be able to see, I'm here in Philadelphia, hey, somebody in Philadelphia viewed the website. You won't be able to see Julian in Philadelphia in his house on the second floor, viewed your website. You're not going to get information like that. You're not going to get email addresses, anything that's going to be able to say, hey, there's this person here. There is a caveat with that. We'll be able to see, if a certain user anonymized comes back, and views the website, more than once. But say they clear their cookies, or it's been a certain amount of time, that's going to expire, and then it's going to be next time that user comes in, it's going to be as a new user for some things. You're also not going to you're not going to be able to tell, what type of experience a user had. So if it was really good and they're very happy with everything that happened on the site, you're not going to get that. And if they're so frustrated that they just left, maybe you'll be able to assume that in a bounce rate. But again, we don't want to, just broadly apply, hey, well, the analytics said this. They're just giving this information here. So adding, feedback opportunities in the rest of your marketing can be a really good way to capture that information. And finally, you're not going to be able to get analytics data on other websites. Unless they invite you to their account, you're not going to be able to see like how many visitors is, the competitor, 2 counties over. What's going on with them. You're not going to be able to get that information here. So you're going to get the information about what the users do, not necessarily who they are. You're going to get these behavioral analytics with things like this.
Julian, can you just share a little bit about like what the cost is for Google Analytics if people don't know? The importance of it, the importance of setting it up, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so Google Analytics, it is a big budget hit. It's free. So, anybody can sign up and create it. You can have multiple accounts. If you have different websites that you're working with, you can bundle them all into one. You can, just create separate accounts for everybody there. But it's really easy to start, just get set up with there. It also works really well. Say you have some GDPR compliance concerns. It integrates really well with that. Probably one of the smoothest tools that you can use in terms of having the hey, reject all, accept all, set up that banner very easily. Getting started with it does take about 5 minutes to sort of walk through, get it set up. Like Zach said, any platform can use it there. So the first step, even if you're like, I don't know a lot about analytics, Google Analytics, but these TAP folks have convinced me it's important. Just getting it set up today is very important because you're not going to get any data from the past. So from the day you set it up, it's going to start collecting that data, and then that'll buy you some time to sort of let it do its thing, collect that information while you're learning a little bit more and figuring out what to do, how to connect everything there. So, once we have this landing page and we have the metrics on it, we've done a lot of good improvements to it. Now we're getting ready to share it out, and it's going in a lot of places. And we really want to get some information about what's happening when people are coming from those places. And the way that we can really generate some additional information, the insights into what's going on, is through something called UTM tags. So these are basically extra parameters that you can put at the end of any URL that goes to your website, and that allows you to tag little bits of information on the end. So if you see at the bottom, if this was your donate page, you can turn that donate page into this big long link over on the right. And if you're using like a link shortener or a redirect, say you need to print this link somewhere, you can hide that information and redirect it to this longer link. But all those little pieces, once you put that in the link and somebody clicks on it, their data is now tagged with it. So there's three main parameters we use. We'll get into a little bit more about how you use it on the next slide, but it's source, medium, and campaign. So say you're running a Giving Tuesday campaign. That would be the campaign that you put in the link. And then you're saying, okay, well, this medium, this is, I'm sending out this landing page on social media over here. This is going in my email newsletter. This is going in a QR code. And then finally, the source. You can use this for quite a lot of things, but you can either specify a specific platform, or you can give it a unique identifier like the November 18th post or something like that. Add all that information, and then you'll be able to look in your analytics and see, okay, all the traffic to this landing page. Here's all the forms people submitted. Only show me the forms that were submitted by people who came from the newsletter. And it allows you to get deeper insights into what's actually happening, rather than saying, okay, well, we put this same landing page out in 5 different areas, and we got this result back. Which one of those 5 areas was the most effective? Which audience group ended up, converting the most, or which one, did you have nobody, but you had a lot of maybe platform interactions? You might say, okay, this is great for platform interactions, but for actual programs or donations, this platform doesn't seem to be doing a lot for us.
Yeah, and one thing too here is just like as a little exercise, next time you get a marketing email from a company or organization, click on one of those links in their email, and when it redirects you to your browser, whether it be on your mobile device or your computer, look in the address bar, and quite often it won't show just like the simple domain. It'll have all of that extra information on the URL, and that's what they're doing is they're able to then see, say I click on a Black Friday email from an e-commerce site. I'll be able to look in that URL and it'll say Black Friday or whatever they've named their campaign, just so you can see it on your end as well, rather than just like the admin side of things. It's happening whenever any of us are clicking on a marketing link, whether it be from an email or even social media directing to their site, be able to see that as well. So
exactly. And
very
these
common.
are free to create. There's no special configuration that you need in analytics. You just need to know where to find that information in the platform. But Tap, we have a tool here that'll help you format it. Google provides them. There's paid options where maybe if you want to store copies of it, but you can also do that. I have people who do it in an Excel spreadsheet, and they just have a formula there that they fill out each column, it spits out a formatted link. So this is really just the extra information. It connects all of the different places you're sending out your website, and it allows you to get a deeper understanding in that. Some use cases might be, if you're putting something out in a email newsletter, maybe you link something at the top of the email and the bottom of the email. If you were to look in analytics, maybe you would see that, hey, these clicks came from the email, but you wouldn't know which one actually performed well. And then maybe you're trying to connect stuff that you're seeing in email and trying to bring it over into analytics as well, and you have 2 things up on your screen. If you just have different UTM links for each one of those buttons, those are then unique links, and you're able to see, okay, here, maybe the source is top button, bottom button. You'll be able to go from there and get insights there. But you'll be able to separate these things out by campaign, by platform, however you're organizing the information, and get a really good overall view of what's going on there.
Awesome. So yeah, we've talked a lot about um, website analytics. We're going to shift a little bit to marketing, email, and social media. So getting into marketing email, this is for nonprofits one of the most effective channels for driving donations, volunteer signups, event participation. So understanding a few key metrics here is going to make a big impact. So um, the first one to look at is your open rate. So this essentially tells you whether your subject line is doing its job. So if people are opening your email, where if people aren't opening your email, they're not going to see your message, your call to action, your mission. So this is a super important first step. If people are opening your email, this means that your subject line is grabbing their attention and prompting them to click into the email. Next is the click-through rate, or the CTR, as it's most commonly used in your analytics. So your CTR shows whether people are actually engaging with your content and not just opening the email. So are they clicking the button? Are they clicking any links on your email? So this is going to help you understand if the email itself is effective rather than just that subject line. And then finally, look at your conversion rate. So this is going to measure whether your email is driving the real actions that you care about. So if your email is trying to drive donations, signups, registrations, even downloads of a document, you can kind of think of this as like the bottom line metric is, why do I want people opening and interacting with this email? So how do you improve these numbers? So you want to start by segmenting your audience. So sending more targeted emails to smaller, more relevant groups instead of just blasting your entire contact base with the same message. That's super important, right? You can also A/B test certain things like subject lines, buttons, even content in your email to see what's performing best. So, for example, you could send, say you're sending an email to 100 people, send 20 people version A, 20 people version B, and then whichever version performed the best, you can send that the final list of the 60 people that best performing version, right? So that's just a simple example of an A/B test. And personalization is super important too. So even simple touches like having hi and then somebody's first name instead of just hi there or hi member, even referencing past engagement with people, it personalizes your email a little bit more, hits home a little bit better with that content. And then ultimately, what we've seen is it increases conversion significantly.
No, Zach, Natalie in the chat is asking a question. Is the open rate accurate? I hear Google and Apple open the email and checking for spam, so those numbers aren't accurate. And that's a good point. When it comes to analytics, I often think of this not as absolute truth. Like I could swear this in a court of law that, hey, 50 people saw my landing page on this day. You're not going to get that level of truth, but it's going to be the best information you do have available. There's plenty of ways to even block Google Analytics scripts in your browser. There's new privacy features all the time. So I would not think of this as, hey, I'm trying to get the exact number of everything that happened, and you're like, hey, I'm going to be standing over everybody's shoulder watching them on the website. You're not going to get that level, but tools like this are going to give you the best available data that's out there. So especially when it comes to email, email is especially when it's been hit quite hard over the past couple of years, just in terms of being able to accurately understand what's going on there. But I would just take it with that little bit of grain of salt and know that, hey, based on the information that is available to us, this is what we have to work with, knowing that there may be some actual differences in what's happening there.
Yeah, and one of the examples here is use an email platform that can, like lots of email platforms can filter that kind of stuff out. So the one that we use and we recommend, we set it up for clients, TechSoup uses it, is HubSpot for marketing email. What HubSpot has is a tool in there, and it's just in the report. It filters out those bot opens from the actual report itself. So essentially what it is kind of in simple terms, if the email is opened right away, it's probably going to be a bot. So what HubSpot does is it filters those numbers out. I'm sure there's other platforms that do it as well. But that's helped a little bit with reporting, where maybe organizations will send an email, lots of bots open it, it shows an 80% open rate. Obviously, that's not realistic at all. But then it has that excluding bots number of 30 to 40%. Looks a bit more realistic. It It matches with the clicks that your emails get, that your email got, and all those other analytics. So lots of tools here can exclude those bot opens as well. So um, shifting a little bit to social media here. So we've talked about social a bit, but really the goal with social media is not just posting regularly, it's understanding what's actually working and posting like that. So analytics are going to help you figure out which content is connecting with your audience and which posts might need a different approach. So we've seen some accounts where they'll get a couple thousand interactions with one post and then maybe a dozen with the next post. Maybe you need to rethink your strategy for all your posts and think, okay, well, that post that got a few thousand interactions performed a lot better. We need our content to be a lot more like that consistently, right? So one of the most important metrics to watch is your engagement rate. So this includes everything from likes, comments, shares. These are all the ways that people are interacting with your content. So higher engagement usually means your message is resonating with your audience and that your audience feels connected enough to respond by either hitting that double tap or leaving a comment. It's really a great indicator of whether your content is meaningful to them or if they're just going to scroll past, even unfollow, right? So another key area here is link clicks and traffic. So social media is often a major traffic source. So as we've talked about with website previously, where is our traffic coming from? Social media is huge, right? So it's super important to know whether your posts are actually driving people to your website, if they're driving people to your donation page or sign up for events, and tracking these clicks with things like Google Analytics, UTM tags, all of that kind of stuff. We're kind of bringing it full circle here. This is going to help you understand which of your calls to action are actually working and which types of posts are inspiring people to take that next step with your organization and not just leave a like, maybe come to your website, right? So and then lastly here, look at your follower growth. So follower count isn't everything. We've all seen accounts that have purchased 10,000 followers and they get 2 likes on every post. It's a lot better to have maybe an audience of a couple hundred with all of your audience interacting with those posts and coming to your website and taking action, right? So steady growth over time will signal your strong brand messaging and that you're targeting your posts great. And like having that consistent follower count growing, not just having that big number. Really watching that growth number is going to show you that new people are finding your content, new people are finding your organization, and then choosing to stay connected, right? So ultimately with social media, you want to boost what works. If a certain type of post is consistently performing well, maybe it's storytelling videos, impact quotes, behind the scenes content, even memes. Memes are huge. Lean into it if it's working. Your analytics are going to help you focus your energy where it's going to have the biggest impact for not just your social media page, but for your organization, right? You want to drive that traffic to your organization.
Yep. So once we have, we're posting our landing page everywhere, we have it well set up. We now maybe want to consider some other ways that people are going to get to this. And that's going to be through search results and AI. That's a big one here. So just to start with search engine optimization, it's not one thing you do, it's a set of practices and a set of tasks that need to happen to have your website optimized for search engines. And so, this is not an exhaustive list, but it's going to include things like taking a look at the user experience, the copywriting, playing out a content strategy for, maybe what you're going to be posting in there, the technical configuration for stuff. But it's not just one thing that you're going to be doing. Search engine optimization is really important because it does affect how many people are going to be finding you, especially when it's for people who may not know who you are. So people who are coming to you from social media, they're going to have found your page before, or at least at a first touch point. When somebody clicks on your website, maybe they've typed in a question into Google or something like that. They're going to have no context for what's happening. So making sure that your website is optimized for that experience allows you to cast a wider net and bring more people into the organization. So, very broadly, here's 3 categories that we can look at when we're talking about the different types of SEO. When we're looking at stuff that's on the page, we're looking at, the words on the page. Are the titles formatted correctly? Do we have the proper headings in there? Are things linked with other pieces of content across the site? A big thing is just the words you choose on the page, making sure that they're actually reflective of the type of information that the people you're trying to help are seeking out. And that might be different from the language you use when applying for grants or talking about yourself in general. Off-page stuff, we're looking at things like, getting backlinks from other websites, putting it on, social media, recording podcasts for stuff like this. Then you have the technical side of all the things, making sure stuff is structured properly. You have nice site maps, all your, your special link formatting for your canonical links and stuff is set up, and again, making sure that your site is snappy and loads quickly for some stuff. So Zach, take us into the AI side of things.
Yeah, so answer engine optimization, or AEO. So this is the new evolution of search. So this is like the 2025. This is the big thing right now. So instead of people typing into Google and getting a list of websites, more and more often you're getting those direct answers through Google of what your answer should be, right? So that bubble that's popping up at the top of the Google search that's answering the question for you that you Googled, this is all a result of AEO. So how do we show up in this new search environment? How do we show up in that bubble at the top of Google when somebody Googles something? It starts with creating content that is easy for AI tools to understand and surface. So AEO is all about providing those short, structured, direct answers to common questions. So think about writing your content in like a Q&A format. So you're literally answering the kinds of questions that your audience might type into a search box. Then you want to keep these answers short and clear so that the AEO going on in the background can identify those answers, right? So AI tools are going to look for content that is direct, it's helpful, and easy to interpret. So simple words, you're not using all these massive buzzwords to make your content seem a lot more intelligent. You're just really just direct answers to those questions. AI tools are delivering answers instead of traditional search results. So again, we have it at the top of Google. People are using ChatGPT to quote unquote Google things now, things like that, right? If you want to stay visible, whether it be on Google, on any of these search engines, your website and your content needs to provide content that AI can understand, that AI can trust, and then ultimately use in those summaries that it's providing for people.
Now, on the other side of things, we have GEO, or Generative Engine Optimization. And so while AEO is focused on sort of questions and answers, this is a little more long form. So this is where, say somebody is in one of the AI platforms and is trying to, produce some content or is looking for, explanations on things. AI is going to present them some information, but then also cite its sources. And the goal here is to be included as one of those citations. And so one of the biggest things you can do is, publish original data and research. So, especially for organizations who are very close to the things that are going on, that whatever your mission is, you're very close and you have these firsthand experiences, being able to communicate not just the impact of that, but what needs to be done and any other findings that you have from doing that work. That's one of the biggest benefits that organizations, even if they're very small, can do. And this can help increase visibility and just get some extra folks who, otherwise might have, not heard of you or not understood that, hey, there are people out in the world doing this work. Here's what they have to say. And, maybe I want to get a little more involved with them. It's going to be a really primary discovery channel for quite a lot. So, we're really looking at a hybrid strategy of all of it. SEO continues to be, important. There's still going to be people who are scrolling through the links and trying to find something, that's going to be right for them. There's other people who are going to be satisfied with the answers that are provided at the top of those search results. And there might be other people who are looking for longer form explanations inside one of these AI tools. So it's not just one or the other. You really need to be paying attention to all of them. I know that, Zach, you have a pretty cool tool to help understand some of this.
Yeah, so we're talking about SEO, AEO, GEO, all these EOs. Where can I actually see how my organization ranks in these areas? Traditional SEO has all these different tools like SEMrush. There's tons of them out there. I'm sure Google has a couple different tools that you can use as well. But AEO is still fairly new. Um, and HubSpot actually released a completely free tool called the AEO Grader. So this is completely separate from their CRM, from their marketing platform, any of their paid tools. This is completely free. You don't need an account and you don't need to be a HubSpot customer. So anybody can use this. Simply go to hubspot.com/AEO Grader. And essentially what it is it evaluates how your brand is appearing in responses generated by these AI engines. So ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity. Um, in other words, when someone asks a question of where your organization should show up, the grader is going to check whether you do or don't match that criteria, how visible you are, and how your content is performing across those AI tools. So it'll also look at things like your brand's tone, how competitive you are, rankings wise compared to similar organizations, and the authority of the sources that mention your brand. So if you're getting backlinks to your website, if you're getting other sites mentioning you, it's going to give you those stats as well. So this is a super cool tool. We've started using it, whether it's at work or even personally. I'm using this tool. It's super cool. It really helps you understand your brand's visibility in AI generated answers. It gives you direct feedback, direct recommendations on things that you can take action on now. And AI is the big thing, right? It's something that's going to matter more and more as users are relying more on AI, whether it be to look up organizations or use it in their day-to-day activities. So this is a great way to benchmark where your organization is, where you're starting, and how to identify areas that improve your content and your AEO strategy. So again, this is a free tool. Literally takes 2 minutes to put your organization in there. You don't need, I think the only thing you need to enter is your email address. But I haven't gotten any additional like emails from them following up or anything. It's like 99% free tool. Definitely use it. And then we wanted to include this chart as a quick reference for future. So again, we're going to be emailing the slides and the webinar recording after today. So don't feel like you need to read all of this right now. But this just gives you a helpful way of comparing SEO, AEO, and GEO and how they each measure success over different areas. So we have visibility, engagement, technical content quality, trust and authority, and then conversion. So the biggest takeaway is that all these three areas, whether it be SEO, AEO, GEO, they all share similar goals around all of these different categories. It just varies slightly depending on whether you're optimizing for search engines, AI overviews, or AI assistants, right? So this is going to help you see those differences at a glance. Definitely return to this. Again, it'll be in the slide deck that we'll share after the presentation, and it'll help you for content for anything, right?
Awesome. So I know we're getting close on time, so we want to leave enough time for some questions. So we're going to be going through the strategy section a little bit quicker. So we've talked about all this stuff. We've given you a lot of this information. How are we going to start, putting this together? You have, okay, great, all these things I can track. One of the big things once you start to have all these data points is you need to make sure that, these are centralized in one place. You don't want to be, a death. You don't want to be in a death by analytics situation. So by centralizing, it's going to have a couple benefits for you. The first is it's going to help you from duplicating some of your efforts. It's also going to cut down on errors quite a bit. So, hey, this one place that we're comparing data doesn't update automatically, so we're looking at information over here that might not be quite right. It's also going to just give you the ability to have a holistic view of that marketing performance. That's really important if, say, you need to communicate information to a board or anybody else, or even just trying to create, a piece of information for your annual report. Having everything in one place makes finding these insights so much easier. And on top of it all, it just helps you make smarter and more efficient decisions. So a big way to do this is put in a CRM.
Yeah, so a CRM is where all of your data is going to come together in one place. So it's your donor information, your volunteers, your supporters, all of that, all of those people, it's where it all comes together, right? So a CRM is essentially going to connect all of your marketing efforts with your website behavior, giving you that bigger picture of how people are interacting with your organization. So, like we said, a CRM is going to help you track every interaction in a centralized place. So you can tie your analytics back to the real people instead of just the numbers of people, right? So instead of 200 people clicked, you can see which types of supporters took action, who exactly is taking action, and then you can tailor your marketing accordingly. And lots of CRMs too offer automation. So you can use those analytics to trigger follow-up emails, reminders, even personalized outreach, like we were talking about earlier in the email marketing section. All of this without adding more work to your day, which is obviously extremely valuable for smaller nonprofits. The big takeaway here is your CRM isn't just a database. It's a critical tool that's going to help bridge your marketing efforts and your website. It'll give you those clearer insights and then ultimately help you have more effective outreach. So when it comes to using a CRM effectively, we have a few best practices here that are going to help you make a huge difference. So the first is to keep your contact data clean. So this means regularly update your records, remove duplicates, make sure that your supporter information is accurate. Clean data is going to lead to accurate analytics. If your CRM is messy, that information that you're pulling from it is also going to be messy, and it can be misleading too, right? So another thing too is to use your CRM to segment your audience. So like we talked about before, not everybody should be receiving the same message. You want to segment your audience by donor type, by behavior, if they're a volunteer versus a donor versus somebody who versus anybody, right? This is going to help you send more relevant emails, improve your conversions, and then build stronger relationships with your audience. Another thing is to make sure that you're using your reports to really track your performance. So this is where everything comes together. Your email data, your website behavior, your donor activity, your engagement, your event attendance. This can all feed into your CRM. So these reports are going to help you understand what's working, what's not working, and what changes you're going to need to make as you prepare for the upcoming year or whenever you're doing this, right?
So one big thing that can help, especially when you have a lot of data, is to find ways to visualize it. I know HubSpot has some great visualization. Google has some built in. There's also Google Looker Studio and plenty of other tools. But this allows you to create maybe dashboards that you can just keep an eye on every now and then, rather than diving into lots and lots of numbers. Especially even if you're tracking things over time, being able to graph out a number can really help give you an understanding and maybe uncover some progress that you're not able to see day to day, but over the period of a quarter or 6 months, you're able to see, oh, hey, we have made these improvements here. It's also great if you just need to share this information. We always use board members as an example because I know a lot of nonprofits, have them to answer to. But even if it's trying to share impact information, in an annual report or just with users. So we're going to get into some of your questions right now. So make sure you're getting them in the Q&A. While you're typing, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that we're offering here on TechSoup. So one of the big ones that we have is this Google Analytics setup. We talked about it, a good amount. And if you need help getting stuff set up, connected to, all the parts of your website and the marketing stuff, give us a call here, or it's more like a link click. It's just not necessarily a call, but we'll get you trained, get everything wrapped up for you there. And I'd like to invite my colleague Jason on to talk a little bit more about some of the other stuff.
Good afternoon. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather. My voice is not quite all there. We do offer multiple services at Tap Network. Sorry, I almost said TechSoup. It's in collaboration with TechSoup. One of those is a CRM implementation. I know we started referring back to HubSpot. While it's not perfect for everyone, depending on what size you are, we do offer free consultations to discuss that. I meet with thousands of people just like yourselves every day, well, not every day, every year, to discuss this and see, does this make sense? What is the right roadmap for implementation for you? We do offer discounts for the CRM implementation, and they offer some great nonprofit discounts through HubSpot as well. So definitely would love to have that conversation if this is something you are interested in. Go ahead and go to the next one for me, Julian. We kind of work in two ways. One is one-off custom projects, which is like a HubSpot implementation or a website redesign. But we also offer monthly based services that are great if you just need doers. You need someone to get in there and get the job done. You want someone to help, make posts on your social media. You want us to help make regular updates on your website, make changes on your CRM. We offer multiple levels. The upgrade is great for those that kind of know exactly what they need and just need to purely delegate. Fantastic option there. Premium is great if you don't quite know where to go and need kind of your handheld. You get a dedicated account manager, someone to kind of walk you through on the lightly on the strategic side, or we can delegate that time to more strategy instead of just doing. So a lot of options there. And yes, that includes like HubSpot, WordPress, Wix support. We work with multiple learning management systems, kind of you name it. So feel free to book time on my calendar if you want to discuss that and see if that's right for you. And the last piece we're going to discuss today is we also offer a really discounted website redesign option for people joining this webinar. This is like a lift and shift. It's phenomenal for those people that kind of don't like their current content management system. Maybe it's not easy to update, make changes. It doesn't integrate with many things. We can lift you up off of that Weebly, up off of that, GoDaddy Builder, bring you over to WordPress, make sure it's easy to update, easy to maintain, and we can also host and secure it for you so you don't have to worry about that site going down. So let me know if any of that is interesting. By all means, book time on my calendar. I am here and around, even with the holiday coming up. Next week is still open.
Wonderful. And here's, if you're browsing on TechSoup, you can find us under the website and digital marketing services right there. But let's dig into, Zach, I know when you and I talk, we always, go a little long, but still, we got a little bit of time here for questions. And so we have a couple pending right here. So the first is David asks, with regard to website analytics, I know that you can track everything, but I never know what a useful report looks like. You have some examples for basic website analytics? Now, a great way to get started is, if you are using Google Analytics, you're going to see there's a couple options in the sidebar, but the first one you can see is home. Right under that, there's going to be a report item in the Google Analytics sidebar. And then you'll be able to filter things like, hey, I want to look at engagement. And it'll give you, your top pages. There's a section to track all of your events that's in there. There's one for acquisition, so you can start to see the different sources that people are coming from and things like that. So that is a great way. They have some pre-built reports just to get you started. And then, especially if you're looking at email things, they're going to have their own. Finally, if you're trying to bring them together in one of those visualization tools, they'll have plenty of guides sort of onboard and map stuff there. But I would start with those default reports and then move into the one right below it, which is called explorations. And that's where you can start to bring in individual metrics, plot them on graphs, build tables, apply filters, lots of stuff there. So I think if you're just getting started and you want some basic stuff, stick with the things in the reports section of Google Analytics. Alongside that, somebody else asks UTM tags. Which reports to use or create for reporting in GA4 or other tools? So UTM tags, just like in those basic reports, you're going to be looking at the acquisition section. So when you're entering those things like this is the content, this is a source, this is the medium, this is the campaign. All those pieces of information correspond to actual things you should be able to see in analytics. And so maybe you even just take an existing report that you have and say, I now want to filter this report by this campaign name or by this medium. I want to only see, what people are doing that come from Facebook, things like that. So I would say, with that, you can use almost any tool. If you just search UTM tag, there's going to be plenty of them up there. And then when you're looking at some of that data, just stick with the default ones until you're ready to jump into some of those custom reports. Zach, we have another one here from Hira.
Yeah, so what are the primary factors contributing to low social media engagement for nonprofits, particularly given that the engagement is a critical driver of donor support? So honestly, I would say that the biggest thing with social media is create content that resonates with people and that people are going to be are wanting to see, right? So look at it from your perspective, obviously your target audience's perspective, even look at what your kids are watching, look at what your friends are watching. The content that is interactive and the things that you want to see, that's the kind of content that you should really be making, right? So content that's going to resonate with people, that's going to that they're going to share with their friends, say, oh, this is a cool post, here's a cool event coming in our community. Look at what this nonprofit's doing for, I mean, again, I don't know the exact example here, but really just focus on the content and don't just copy paste quotes and share those. Like, don't just have like a super basic social media template that you use for every single post. The biggest things is just like have the content that resonates, share a variety of different things, and then see what's working and then stick with it, right? And
Yeah,
it's not going to
exactly.
come overnight. There's going to be some posts that you think are going to perform super well and they're not. There's going to be some posts that you might just post it just because, and then it blows up, right? So you really never know. Just stick with it. Consistency is key. That's the biggest thing with these platforms too, is they're not going to reward an account that is posting once a month or once a year. They're going to reward those accounts that are posting consistently and with high quality content.
Zach, you nailed it. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's not something where, especially when we're talking about SEO or even making changes to things on the website or looking at social media, there's not, a thing that we can tell you. It's like, oh, if you do these two things, all of your problems are going to be over and you're going to be at the top of every page of search results and every sort of algorithm. If there was, we would definitely tell you. But a lot of it is just, focusing on the best practices, testing to reframe those best practices in a way that works for your organization, and then just staying consistent. There's not a lot of workarounds. It's just sort of I'm hesitant to use the word putting in the time, not to say that, hey, you just need to if you spend enough time on social media, things going to work out. But it's just sort of, hey, as long as you're doing good work and putting stuff out there, stuff will continue to grow over time. Now, I know we're 1 minute over, so I just want to thank everybody for their time today. You'll get these slides in an email, and we hope to be talking with some of you soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.